Hello everyone. Now we'll be doing the current affairs of this September month, and this section is about ecology and environment. So I have also done science and technology, geography and mapping. You can also check that. So here in the environment, the first one which we'll be doing is UNCLOS, that is United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. So this is also called as the Constitution of the Oceans. मतलब oceans में कितना डिस्टेंस तक कौन से लॉस अप्लीकेबल है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 12 नॉटिकल माइल्स फ्रॉम द बेस लाइन. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द बेस लाइन. सो बेस लाइन के अंदर यू कैन ऑल्सो हैव इनलैंड वाटर्स. ओके, आई विल नॉट बी एक्सप्लेनिंग मच अबाउट इट. सो 12 नॉटिकल माइल्स इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द टेरिटोरियल वाटर्स. मीन्स यहाँ पे आपकी जुरिडिक्शन अप्लीकेबल है. मीन्स आपके जितने भी नेशन के लॉस है, जितने भी लिटोरल स्टेट के लॉस है, दे विल बी अप्लीकेबल हियर. एंड 12 मोर नॉटिकल माइल्स फ्रॉम हियर. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द परस्यूट जोन, ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द कंटिग्यूअस जोन. मीन्स इमेजिन अगर यहाँ पे कोई एनिमी शिप है, चाइनीज शिप है या पाकिस्तानी शिप है, यहाँ पे आके खड़ी है, भैया आपको तो दिक्कत होगी ना, बिकॉज आपका बॉर्डर जो है यहाँ तक है एंड आपके बॉर्डर के जस्ट पास में आपका एनिमी का शिप खड़ा है. सो देयरफॉर यू कैन चेज अवे द शिप, लेकिन आप चेस करते करते पाकिस्तान या चाइना पहुंच जाओगे. तो सो आप यहाँ तक मीन्स 24 नॉटिकल माइल्स फ्रॉम द बेस लाइन तक परस्यू कर सकते हो और शिप को भगा सकते हो. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द परस्यूट जोन. And 200 nautical miles from the baseline इधर से. So this is called as the EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. Means इसके अंदर जितने भी resources है, जैसे पेट्रोलियम रिसोर्सेस है, गैस रिसोर्सेस है, जैसे कुछ मेटल सल्फाइड्स होते हैं, जितने भी रिसोर्सेस है, द लिटोरल स्टेट कैन एक्सप्लॉइट. इसके बियॉन्ड जो होते हैं इसको हाई सीज बोलते हैं, हाई सीज. नाउ द रीजन थर्ड लॉ विच वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू दिस हाई सीज. ये हाई सीज जो है उसको इंटरनेशनल वाटर्स भी बोलते हैं. सो इंटरनेशनल वाटर्स में मरीन डाइवर्सिटी प्रोटेक्शन के लिए वी हैव दिस थर्ड लॉ. So what all can happen in these zones have been explained here. You can go through it. So our concern is not this because आपने ये वाले चीज़ें दूसरे टॉपिक में किया होगा. Now this is called as High Seas Treaty, the third one, also called as BBNJ. इसका एक्रोनिम आप यहाँ पे देख लेना. And अगर ये वाला थर्ड अग्रीमेंट है, देन बाकी दो अग्रीमेंट कौन से है? The first one is called as deep sea bed mining. Means this is with respect to the polymetallic nodules, for example, or polymetallic sulfide. For these two, India has got the permission in the Indian Ocean. So India already mining में है. ये वाले मैंने दूसरे मंथ के करंट अफेयर्स में कवर किया है. And the second one is about fish stocks agreement. And third agreement is BBNJ. Now it has come into the entry because on 17th of Jan 60 countries have been ratified it. So I'll tell you what is this ratification. See, जब भी आप ये UNCLOS के मीटिंग में जाते हो, वहाँ जाने के बाद साइन करते हो. See, आपके ऑफिशियल्स ने तो साइन कर दिया, बट व्हाट अबाउट आपकी कंट्री? क्या आपके कंट्री के लोग इस लॉ से सहमत है? सो उसके लिए पार्लियामेंट से रैटिफिकेशन चाहिए. सो जितने भी इंटरनेशनल कन्वेंशंस है, फर्स्टली दे विल बी साइंड, देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स रैटिफिकेशन विल बी डन. सो इंडिया हैज साइंड दिस, बट इंडिया हैज नॉट ratified this. And one important thing about this BBNJ, it is also open to non-UNCLOS countries. Now, why India did not ratify this? Because firstly, अपने जो डोमेस्टिक लॉस है it has to be aligned with the international laws. The first thing is that. Secondly, India has got a lot of strategic and economic interest. Just now I told you, India has been doing deep sea mining of polymetallic nodules and polymetallic sulfides. And also, India is aiming for blue economy, and our navy also needs to become aggressive because China का stinks of pearls policy है. And implementation needs more scientific, legal and institutional capacity. For example, okay, we have ratified to this. अपने हाई सीज में मीन्स ओके इंडिया के आसपास जो भी इंटरनेशनल वाटर्स है वहाँ चाइना आके डंप करके जा रहा है, या ओके द डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज दे आर रिलीजिंग लॉट ऑफ एफ्लुएंस, डेंजरस एफ्लुएंस. सो अपने पास बोट्स होने चाहिए. ओके, सो वी नीड टू हैव इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड वी नीड टू हैव पर्सनल टू कंट्रोल सच काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. सो वो बिल्ड करने के लिए टाइम लगेगा. नाउ व्हाई India should be signing this, why it is beneficial for India? Because it gives a say in high sea governance. Means अगर इसके member होंगे then international waters में अगर कुछ हो रहा है, okay, then India जाके कुछ बोल सकता है, भाई हम भी इसके member है. And obviously, okay, it will help in the SDGs, okay, biodiversity को conserve करने के लिए help करेगा. And also it will give India fair benefit sharing. फेयर बेनिफिट शेयरिंग, ओके, दिस वर्ड यू हैव कम अक्रॉस मेनी टाइम्स. इसका मतलब ये है, मैं एक एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ओके, कोई आदिवासी कम्युनिटी है इंडिया में, से उसने एक हर्ब को प्रिजर्व करके रखा है एंड दैट हर्ब हैज़ बीन बेनिफिशियल से इन क्यूरिंग सम पैंडमिक. सो उससे जो भी ओके व्हाट केमिकल निकलता है से वो कैंसर को ट्रीट करने का, इट कैन क्यूर कैंसर. देन whichever company is making the medicine or vaccine out of it is liable to pay compensation to the tribe. Means so tribe को benefit मिलना चाहिए. So this is called as benefit sharing. And India has a lot of traditional knowledge. So traditional knowledge है. So that's why so India इससे benefit हो सकता है. And in fact, you know, around India, okay, along the Tamil Nadu coast, a lot of seaweeds have been found. And these seaweeds, okay, have high protein content, and it in future it can be used as an alternative to food also. क्योंकि जब ज़मीन ख़त्म हो जाएगा, लैंड का सैलिनाइजेशन हो जाएगा, then कहीं ना कहीं से आपको फूड लेके आना है. So future food will be grown in the seas. So if India is preserving, okay, or conserving such kind of varieties, so India can get benefited. And also the countries can do technology transfer, capacity building, knowledge भी share कर सकते हैं. So that's why India should be signing this. Now what are the key pillars of this BBNJ? First is the marine protected areas. जैसे आपके wildlife sanctuaries है, okay, you have this national parks. ऐसे ocean में भी you'll be having marine protected areas. For example, कहीं पे what shark population ज़्यादा है, okay, whales की population अगर कहीं ज़्यादा है, कहीं पे कुछ तरीके के फिश जो है ज़्यादा मात्रा में पाए जाते हैं, then it can be declared as marine protected areas. Next, this will also help in conserving marine genetic resources and of course capacity building and technology transfer. And we can also go for EIA, environmental impact assessment. So these are the various items associated with the BBNJ. So आपने बहुत सारे करंट अफेयर्स के मैगजीन्स पढ़े होंगे, लेकिन इतने कॉम्प्रहेंसिवली किसी ने कनेक्ट नहीं किया है. So I guess this series will help you. So next one is ecologically sensitive zones. So why I am dealing with this topic? Because recently public hearing से waiver दिया गया. Okay, waiver means if you are going for any project which is considered to be very strategic, then वहाँ पे public hearing नहीं होगी. And also अगर आप ecologically sensitive zones को respect नहीं कर रहे हो, then आपका destruction हो सकता है. I'll tell you okay this through an example. Now, what is the concept of this ecologically sensitive zone? For example, you have a national park, okay, you have an wildlife sanctuary. So just on the border of the national park or the wildlife sanctuary, आप वहाँ पे कोई stone crusher लगाते हो, अगर वहाँ पे कोई polluting industry लगाते हो, don't you think your national park जिसमें जो आपके tigers है, बाकी wildlife है, don't you think they will be affected? So some buffer zone should be provided. Okay, so this will be acting as, this transition zone will be acting as a shock absorber. So this is the concept of ecologically sensitive zone. And in ecologically sensitive zone mein, some things are prohibited. Mining you will not be allowing because it will create a lot of dust, it will pollute the water, etc. And some things are regulated. Heavy construction, tourism, okay, बड़े-बड़े roads, अब 4 लेन हाईवे अगर बिल्ड कर रहे हो, so बिकॉज अगर 4 लेन हाईवे कहीं है, वहाँ पे व्हीकल्स बहुत फास्ट जाती है, से आपका भालू जंगल से बाहर निकल के आ रहा है, ओके भाई बाहर कहीं घूमने जा रहा है, देन इट कैन हिट एंड रन कैन हैपन. सो देयरफॉर इस जोन में आप ये बड़े बड़े रोड्स, ओके, एक्सेसिव टूरिज्म, ये सब चीज़ें अलाउ नहीं करते हो. कुछ चीज़ें आप अलाउ कर सकते हो, सच एज ट्रेडिशनल एग्रीकल्चर, जहाँ पे आप ज़्यादा फर्टिलाइजर वगैरह यूज़ नहीं करते हो, एंड सम लाइवलीहुड एक्टिविटीज सच एज कलेक्शन ऑफ फायरवुड, ओके, आप हनी कलेक्शन, सो जो हार्म नहीं करते वो वाली चीज़ें यू कैन अलाउ, बट रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स आर ईदर प्रोहिबिटेड और रेगुलेटेड. सो दिस इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ द ecologically sensitive zone. So how much it should be? So actually it should be 10 kilometers. लेकिन इंडिया में इतना आबादी है, सो इंडिया में इतना डेंसिटी है, 450 है डेंसिटी इंडिया में पर स्क्वायर किलोमीटर. सो if you have to provide a 10-kilometer buffer to a national park or wildlife sanctuary, it becomes very difficult. Therefore, Supreme Court ने तंग आके 2022 में it has told that भैया अगर 10 किलोमीटर नहीं हो सकता है, एटलीस्ट रेस्पेक्ट 1 किलोमीटर. लेकिन अभी अप्रैल 2023 में सरकार ने बोला है कि भैया इंडिया में तो ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है, बिकॉज यू हैव मिलियंस ऑफ पीपल, ओके, लिविंग क्लोज बाय, एंड ऑल्सो लॉट ऑफ इको डेवलपमेंट वर्क्स भी होते रहते हैं. मीन्स आपका नेशनल पार्क के आसपास, ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल वहाँ पे एक फिल्टर बेड है, मीन्स ओके वेयर वाटर रिचार्ज हो रहा है. सो दिस आर कॉल्ड एज इको डेवलपमेंटल वर्क्स. सो वो सब चीज़ें भी होते रहते हैं. सो वी कांट हैव दिस 1 किलोमीटर रूल ऑल्सो. ओके, सो रिलैक्सेशन होना चाहिए. ओके, देयर शुड नॉट बी एनी ब्लैंकेट बैन ऑन सच एक्टिविटीज़. अगर somebody is providing basic amenities, अगर टॉयलेट्स वगैरह टूरिस्ट के लिए प्रोवाइड कर रहा है या इको डेवलपमेंटल वर्क्स हो रहे हैं, देन ओके दिस 1 किलोमीटर रूल ऑल्सो शुड बी फ्लेक्सिबल. ओके, द सरकार हैज़ टोल्ड दिस. नाउ आप अगर 1 किलोमीटर का रूल भी फॉलो नहीं करते हो तो क्या होता है, देखो. सो दिस इज द रिवर, यू कैन सी द बिफोर एंड आफ्टर पिक्चर. सो government nowadays it is connecting all the 4 dhams with the 4 lane highways. So जो आपका Himalayan region है which is already very fragile, so there you are connecting, that region is being connected with the 4 lane highways. अगर आप 4 lane highways अगर यहाँ पे build करोगे, obviously पहाड़ का कटिंग होगा. जब पहाड़ का कटिंग आप बेस को कट कर दोगे तो पहाड़ कोलैप्स हो जाएगा. And this will lead to landslides. It has led to landslides. You can see the condition before and after. आपने नेचर के ओके व्हाट बफर जोन को रेस्पेक्ट नहीं किया, आपने जो भी विकास किया यहाँ पे क्या हो गया, एक फ्लैश फ्लड में, एक लैंडस्लाइड्स में पूरा विकास खत्म हो गया. Now this has happened despite giving so many warnings. You can see the picture over here. यहाँ पे आप हाईवे बिल्ड कर रहे हो पहाड़ को कट करके, सो पहाड़ जो भी ऊपर वो नहीं टिकेगा, जब भी बारिश आएगा तो नीचे गिर जाएगा. सो दिस हैज रिसेंटली हैपन ओके नियर नेटाला. सो यूके गवर्नमेंट ने, उत्तराखंड गवर्नमेंट ने अप्रूवल दे दिया फॉर नेटाला बाईपास. ओके, सो जहाँ पे भागीरथी ESZ है. सो डिस्पाइट रिजेक्शन बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, बट what we can do, Ministry of Defense has told that this project is strategically very important. So recently जब फ्लैश फ्लड्स हुआ था, जो भी आपने बिल्ड किया पूरा खत्म हो गया, मिट्टी में मिल गया. So this incident has happened recently, so that's why know everything about ecologically sensitive zone. So that's why okay I have मैंने जितना भी यहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट्स हुआ है okay ecologically sensitive zone में, so मैंने information पूरा यहाँ पे दे दिया है. Again this you will not be finding in any other current affair booklets. Now environmental impact assessment. Now why this is in the news? Because the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, okay, it has exempted mining of atomic, critical and strategic minerals from public hearing. See, in EIA earlier there were 8 stages. So 8 को 4 में reduce किया. In 4 में one of the processes, one of the steps is public hearing. Means whenever you are going ahead of the project, means whenever you are going for a project, for example you are going for mining of critical minerals. तो जब भी आप वहाँ पे माइन करते हो, obviously okay इंडिया में तो 450 का डेंसिटी है, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं तो लोग होंगे, राइट? सो लोगों की सहमति लेना चाहिए. So the people have to agree. Okay, you have to pay them compensation. So then only a project can go ahead. Now, if there is no public hearing, then of course the project okay can take place at a faster pace. So this will help in going ahead with these projects. लेकिन the people will be affected there. अगर वहाँ पे लोग नहीं है, the forest will be affected. So it will lead to a lot of complications in the future. So on one point of view can be, so it can increase the pace of the projects, but again it will lead to complications in the future. Now in this context they can ask what is the categorization of the EIA. So EIA projects have been categorized into category A, category B1 and category B2. So category A, so it is with the central government. So one very important thing about category A project is it requires mandatory environmental clearance prior. Means project होने से पहले ही environmental clearance दे दिया जाएगा. So this point you have to remember. So next you have category B1 and category B2. So category B1, okay, in this you will be having projects which are of the smaller scale than the category A. So category A mein you will be having very big thermal power plants, you will be having nuclear plants, major ports, new airports, etc. So all these fall in category 1. So इससे भी थोड़ा कम size में, little bit smaller size will be calling in category B1. So category B1 and category B2, so these are under the state government. So in this also, these are very similar to category A but smaller in scale. Then you have category B2. For category B2, no EIA report or public hearing is required. Okay. In category B1, full EIA. So इसमें सारे ही follow होंगे. So इसमें आपको EIA public hearing कुछ नहीं चाहिए. Because these are very small scale industries, minor building construction, district rural roads, small irrigation projects, etc. So understand the various categories of the projects under EIA and किसके लिए क्या चाहिए. Okay, जो भी मैंने red में mark किया है वो important है. So next one is environmental audit rules 2025. See, whenever you are going ahead with a project, say आपने एक okay mining किया कहीं पे, so mining करने के बाद से कोल माइनिंग कर रहे हो आप. कोल माइनिंग करने के बाद आप कोल को वॉश करते हो, केमिकल से वॉश करते हो, उसका पानी कहाँ जाएगा? सो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल लीव इट इन द रिवर्स ओनली. रिवर्स गेट पोल्यूटेड ओवर देयर. या एल्यूमिनियम का माइनिंग कर रहे हो, यू हैव सीन प्लेसेस इन ओडिशा where okay it has been completely filled with the oxide, वहाँ पे आपको लाल लाल बड़ा खेत जैसा दिखेगा. So that is all polluted water. So environmental audit rules will be auditing whether the project developer is obliging with all the rules and regulation or not. So earlier this job was done by the Central Pollution Control Board or State Pollution Control Board. Abhi this has been outsourced, it has been given to the third party. Abhi third party आके अभी ये audit करेगा whether the project developer okay सारे जितने भी okay rules and regulations है वो follow कर रहा है कि नहीं, okay वो कितना effluents release कर रहा है, मतलब particulate matter कितना release कर रहा है okay environment ने, या इंडस्ट्री से कितना हैवी मेटल्स निकल रहा है बाहर, वेस्ट पानी को व्हाट फिर से ट्रीट करके बाहर भेज रहा है कि नहीं. सो दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स ओके दे विल ऑडिट. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन EIA एंड एनवायरमेंटल ऑडिट? सो EIA विल प्रेडिक्ट बिफोर द प्रोजेक्ट, whereas environmental audit will be doing after the project. Now let's see what is the difference between okay these rules and the previous ones. So previously you used to have annual self-reported statements, but now independent certified audits होंगे, third party करेगा. Now पहले State Pollution Control Board will be doing the audit. Now we'll be having a designated agency. पहले क्या basic compliance होगा. Now they will see whether whatever has been mentioned in the EIA and see as that coastal zone regulation, are they being followed or not. Now let's see what the problems of this. So these bodies जो भी आप देखिए third party आके audit कर रहा है, so this can be prone to corruption, right? कोई इनको खरीद भी सकता है, right? So as compared to सरकारी officials, okay, these people are more prone because ये पैसे के लिए काम करते हैं, whereas your government officials they abide by the rules and regulations, so देश की सेवा करने आए, right? So वो लोग घूसखोर नहीं होंगे. So these people can be easily bought off. Next, small factory owners पे बहुत बड़ा burden होगा. See ये सब audit करवाने के लिए बहुत सारा पैसा लगता है, 3 से 4 लाख रुपया लगता है. कोई बड़ी इंडस्ट्री है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपकी what हिंदाल्को है, okay, वेदांता का what एल्यूमिनियम फैक्ट्री है, okay, ये लाखों करोड़ों की फैक्ट्री है. सो उनके लिए 3-4 लाख रुपए देना कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. लेकिन अगर छोटी स्केल का कोई ओके फॉर एग्जांपल बर्तन बनाने की कोई किसी की फैक्ट्री है, तो उसको भी अगर ऑडिट करवाना है, सो उनके लिए ओके 3-4 लाख रुपया बहुत बड़ी रकम हो सकती है. सो दैट्स व्हाई ओके इट कैन किल स्मॉल बिजनेसेस. नेक्स्ट हियर नोबडी fixes the problem. So even if the problem has been found, there is no remedy for it. वो जाके audit करेंगे, fine मारेंगे, लेकिन भैया how this problem can be solved, there is no. Next, other small scale problems. So if the village people notice that the river is getting dirty, so they cannot go and complain to anyone, because इसके पहले okay you can go to the Central Pollution Control Board or someone. Now third party को दिया है, so वो सरकार नहीं है, वो तो independent agencies है, you cannot go to them. And different auditors will be having different point of views. सबका अपना audit की reports अलग अलग हो सकता है. Some auditors may not be even qualified. So ये auditors को कहाँ से लेके आएंगे? So कितने लोग इंडिया में what environmental engineering या environmental science में डिग्री किया हुआ है? So we don't have so many personnel. So what the government will be doing is that the government will be certifying some people that these people are eligible for audit, and fake certificate ले सकता है, and you know how things happen in India, they might not be eligible. So next one is Wan Samrakshan Evam Samvardhan Amendment Rules. I can't pronounce it properly. Basically it is Forest Conservation Act 1980. So some amendments have been made in this FCA 1980. So there has been a small change in the rule here. These rules have been updated. And क्यों update किया? Because The 1980 FCA 1980 under Indira Gandhi, it was very strict. So you cannot easily divert the forest for non-forestry purposes. But here, in the recently changed rule, because India के लिए विकास बहुत चाहिए and forest land तो चाहिए, so industries के लिए भी चाहिए. So rules को थोड़ा ease किया यहाँ पे. Rules have been relaxed. At the same time, compensatory afforestation also has been strengthened here. So it is trying to balance the environmental needs and the economic needs. अभी देखते हैं. So what was the earlier rule? What was the new rule? So old rule means before these changes have been made. So compensatory afforestation must be done only on the protected forest. Now the forests are of various types. You can have reserved forest, protected areas. So it can be a wildlife sanctuary, it can be a national park, it can be a biosphere reserve, it can be a community reserve, it can be a conservation reserve. So these are the various types. इन सारे चीज़ों के बीच में difference जो है please देख लेना. So protected forest के लिए okay protection okay is at the higher level. So according to the new rule, पहले तो forest department must declare the area as a protected forest. ऐसे declare करने के बाद ही वहाँ पे आप compensatory afforestation कर सकते हो. That means आपके प्रोजेक्ट के लिए आपने अगर 10 पेड़ काटा, so यहाँ पे आप okay 200 पेड़ गाड़ोगे. So that is called as the compensatory afforestation. So what is the new rule over here? According to the new rule, so it can be declared as a protected forest the old way. So the land can be just transferred to the forest department. अभी भैया forest department जाने वो क्या करे, आपने उसको दे दिया. लेकिन forest department को land देने के बाद उसको protected forest में convert करने के लिए again the forest department has to go through a lot. अगर वहाँ पे कोई लोग है उनको बाहर भगाना पड़ता है, and then a certain canopy, certain tree cover has to be maintained, etc. There are lot of rules and regulation to convert it. So यहाँ पे थोड़ा ease कर दिया. अगर ये भी नहीं हो रहा है, it can just protect under Forest Act 1927 or other laws. इससे क्या होगा? Paperwork can be reduced. So you can see an example over here. Okay. So with this what happens is that the project developer, अगर कोई आप मेट्रो बिल्ड करना चाहते हो, मेट्रो का शेड बिल्ड करना चाहते हो, तो वहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एक फॉरेस्ट है. सो पहले तो बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट था. अभी क्या होगा, सी वहाँ पे ऑफ जो भी आप कंपनसेटरी एफॉरेस्टेशन कर रहे हो जहाँ पे भी, वो सिर्फ फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट को ट्रांसफ़र कर दो, उसके बाद यू कैन डू वॉट एवर यू वांट टू डू. नेक्स्ट, फॉर क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स माइनिंग, for example, okay, you are cutting 100 trees, then in the area which has been allotted to compensatory afforestation, you have to plant 200 trees. But again the problem here is, see, say for example, okay, जहाँ पे आप from the area from there you have been extracting these critical minerals, say the forest is say hundreds of million years old. So वहाँ पे it is not just okay the 100 trees, individual trees, but a ecosystem has been developed there. Now even if you are planting 200 trees or okay 2000 trees, that will never replace the ecological value of the virgin forest or the old growth forest. उसका value कभी वो replace नहीं करेगा. Now, prima facie it might appear that 100 tree गया, 200 tree आया. Next, linear project will be getting faster approval. Now earlier, if a highway has to be built, the center permission was very mandatory and there is a lot of bureaucratic hurdles over here. Now if a state want to extend the highway, abhi in initial working permission can be taken by the state forest department, and later after giving the permission you can take the central government approval. So for example, Hyderabad is building a ring road. So पहले स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से परमिशन ले लो, उसके बाद सेंटर देखेगा उससे क्या किया जाएगा. इससे क्या है, ब्यूरोक्रेटिक हर्डल्स जो है वो कम हो जाएंगे. Now let's see in this context. See, so in this context they can ask about 1980 Forest Conservation Act. So before studying this, let's see what has been the various forest laws associated with this. Now 1865 में first time you had this Forest Act where the state government has, state means for the first time the forests have been declared as the property of the queen. Okay, then the tribals, okay, unka whatever rights they had, they were allowed to collect. But again in 1978 Forest Act, whatever little rights they had, okay, they have been taken. Only some rights will be given, are given. And the reserved forest, the categorization of reserved forest, protected forest, village forest, okay, etc., they were categorized in 1978 Forest Law. So finally 1927 Forest Act. In 1927 Forest Act, finally the state has taken the complete control of the forest. So let's see how the development has been taking place. 1865 में some rights were there to the tribal people. 78 में most of the rights were crushed. 1927 no freedom is given at all. Let's see 1980 Forest Act. So prior to 1980 Forest Act, the state governments were destroying the forest because the forests, they were under the control of the state governments. So at that time the developmental needs were also very high. हर जगह डैम बिल्ड कर रहे थे, माइनिंग हो रहा था. So states up to their discretion they were destroying all the forests. Now what happened? A lot of massive deforestation has taken place in 60s and 70s. So finally in the 1976 42nd amendment has taken place. The central government has taken the power. So this is when the forests have been moved to the concurrent list. And finally in the 1980 the Forest Conservation Act has come. Now the central government has realized that a lot of forests have been lost. आज भी अगर इंडिया में this 24% of forest है, it's because of this FCA 1980. So at that time, okay, Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, okay, she's the one who went to the first climate conference, the Stockholm conference जो हुआ है. So she was the only country head who went to this conference because at that time many people did not even care about the environment at that time because उनको नहीं लग रहा था कि ये climate change होगा and all, because till about 2000s nobody believed that this climate change, okay, is happening. So 1972 में what nobody would have guessed that climate change will happen. So she was very proactive, okay, for protection of the environment. So she is the first one to go to the Stockholm conference. So in 1980 she has realized that the forests in India have to be protected. So therefore the central government's permission has become mandatory for change in the forest use. Means अगर reserve forest को if you have to change, okay, for any non-forestry use, then central government's permission has become mandatory. So the central government has taken over to protect the forest. Whereas in the recent change which has happened, in the recent change also central government has taken over, but again to give permission. So during that time 1980 में it is for the environmental protection. Central government has taken the power to protect the environment. Now the central government has taken over the forest for economic development. So that is the difference between these two. So next 1988 forest rules, okay, again some changes have taken place. So in 1988 forest rules, there is no private leasing. Means it has banned giving forest land lease to the private companies. So before 1988, private firms could rent the forest land, but after this, only government agencies are allowed. Okay. Next, second rule which has been changed here is non-forest. Okay, this has been expanded. So it added commercial plantation. That means eucalyptus hai, teak hai. If you are doing it for the profit, then it is called as non-forestry purposes. Means they will look like the forest. If you are having a teak plantation, if you are having eucalyptus plantation, a forest jaisa dikhega. So before this, they were declared as the forest, but now they have been declared as non-forestry purposes. And now, okay, after in 1988, it needs central government approval. You can see the example over here. So why this has happened? Because the Chipko movement has happened. The people, okay, have come out to protect the forests. And also, Goda Varman case has taken place. So in the Goda Varman case, so it has been declared that the dictionary definition of the forest should be taken. Matlab, even if you are having a forest in a certain area, आपकी सैटेलाइट डिटेक्ट कर रहा है भैया यहाँ पे जंगल है, लेकिन वो सरकार रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करती है. So this is the difference between the forest cover and the forest area. Forest cover is what satellites see. So if it has more than 10% canopy cover, so अगर green दिख रहा है वो forest cover, satellites will be declaring it as forest cover. But the government may not recognize it. So in Goda Varman case, it has been told that भैया आप डिक्शनरी डेफिनेशन लेना चाहिए, सरकार अपनी मर्जी से ओके ये फॉरेस्ट एरिया है ये नहीं है ऐसा डिक्लेयर नहीं कर सकता है. बिकॉज आप देखोगे बहुत घना जंगल होगा लेकिन कभी कभी सरकार ना उसको डिक्लेयर नहीं करती है एज अ फॉरेस्ट. एंड समटाइम्स देयर इज नॉट इवन ए सिंगल ट्री ऑन द लैंड बट स्टिल द गवर्नमेंट विल बी categorizing it as forest area. So this is the difference between forest cover and forest area. Next, 2023 changes. So what the government has done, it has narrowed down the forest definition. So according to the old definition, any treed area is forest. So according to Goda Varman case. But now ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, it has taken the forest definition को narrow किया बहुत सारी चीज़ें निकाल के. So in 2023 the government, okay, जो भी government notify करता है as a forest area, only they will be considered as a forest. So what is the benefit of this? For example, okay, एक area में बहुत सारा जंगल है, but that has not been declared as a forest by the government, then that can be diverted for mining, okay, or industry very easily. So definition has been narrowed down. Then it excludes pre-1996 non-forest conversions. For example, say 10,000 square kilometer deemed forest now free from FCA. So it will become very easier for the dams and the mines. And also 100 kilometer from the international borders. Now here it is very strategic because आपके आर्मी के लिए रोड चाहिए and आपकी security personnel के लिए you need to have a lot of camps and all. So here exemptions have been made, means without taking the approval of the people, here forest can be converted for non-forestry purposes because national security is very important. So how much is this 100 kilometer, you know? Most of the northeastern states, they come within 100 kilometers of the international border. Means अगर सरकार चाहे तो वहाँ के लोगों को निकाल के बाहर फेंक सकता है, and then it can build roads, it can build army camps, it can do whatever it wants to do. Then Supreme Court has finally told that old broad definition should be taken. भैया आपके मर्जी से आप ऐसे कहीं पे भी फॉरेस्ट को नहीं निकाल सकते हो. ओके, अगर कहीं पे आपको जंगल दिख रहा है then it should be declared as a forest. So it should not be according to a whims and fancies. So because of this, what happens is that over 40 years, means after 1980, the protection for the forest has been weakened. Now let's see what happened recently. So optional compensatory afforestation protection. The problem is compensatory afforestation land no longer must be protected forest. So protected forest declare करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So it can be diverted very easily because एक बार आपने किसी एरिया को protected forest declare कर दिया, then to convert it to non-forestry purposes it becomes very difficult. Next, it will be hurting the tribals because the new law says that you can skip the Gram Sabha's consent. अगर कहीं पे ग्राम सभा परमिशन नहीं दे रहा है पहले, then you cannot convert the forest to non-forestry purposes. But now that consent has been exempted. And the new definition, see, according to the old definition, see 1988 में तो चेंज हुआ है. अगर आप कहीं पे यूकेलिप्टस का फार्म डाल रहे हो, then it is non-forestry purposes. But now the eucalyptus का trees अगर कहीं पे है, then it will be declared as a forest. Then center's overreach. In 1980, the center has overreached. It has taken the power from the states. For what? For the protection of the forest. Now also center has overreached. It has taken over the power of the state. But for what? For doing economic development, not for the protection of the forest. Now center can make rules for leasing the forest to private. So earlier that was, so center ने क्या किया? State government से रोका है कि भैया फॉरेस्ट को लीज नहीं कर सकते हो प्राइवेट को. लेकिन अब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट खुद आके बोल रहा है कि भैया प्राइवेट को आप लीज कर सकते हो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से छीन के. So private solar company may lease forest land, okay, and then it can be converted for non-forestry purposes. Now, what is the government saying here? So it will give faster approvals for the infrastructure projects. What the critics are saying? So NDC, okay, targets will be at risk. Again, say northeastern region में, so 100 kilometers till the border. Border से 100 kilometers तक you can divert the forest land for any other purpose. ग्राम सभा की consent requirement नहीं है. Why? Central government is saying that border security, national security is very important. But what about the tribals' rights? The center is saying that it will help in ease of business and is violating the Supreme Court orders. So these are some of the changes in the forest laws. So next one is the Green Credit Program. So this is little bit different from the Carbon Credit Program. So Green Credit में you'll have overall environmental protection, whereas the carbon credit is for energy conservation. So carbon credit, say for example, there is a steel plant. A steel plant is using a certain process. Okay, say steel plant is emitting 2 tons of CO2. Now the steel plant can improve the technology, a technology upgrade करके, instead of releasing 2 tons of carbon dioxide, now if it is releasing just 1 ton of carbon dioxide, then it will be earning 1 carbon credit. इससे क्या होगा? इससे आपकी एनर्जी कंजर्व होगी. मीन्स now the steel plant is utilizing less amount of energy, and this 1 carbon credit can be traded in the market. So here in carbon credits, the scope is less. So it is restricted to only carbon emissions and reductions. So it is specific to energy efficiency. Whereas the green predict program, so here the horizon is broadened. So here you can undertake broader environmental activities. So here you can also go for tree plantations. You can also have land restoration. For example, I am taking a 3000 acres of land. 3000 acres का मैंने एक land ले लिया. And मैं इसमें I'll be planting. I'll also have wild animals over here. Animals. Say I'll be calling it as Vantara. Now in this 3000 acres, I have this plant, I have this forest. So it will be sucking out CO2. So you're taking away CO2 from the atmosphere. That means you're earning certain credits, right? यहाँ पे आप CO2 emit नहीं कर रहे हो, लेकिन यहाँ पे आप जो भी CO2 है उसको absorb कर रहे हो. Not only you're absorbing the CO2, but also this forest will be providing lot of ecosystem services. So here the horizon has been broadened. So not only it will cut emissions, but also it will do land restoration, etc. So this has got a broader, and for this 3000 acres I'll also earning money because इसके लिए मुझे green credits मिलेंगे. So this is a money making machine. So nowadays many people say बहुत बड़ा ज़मींदार है. He is not interested in doing farming. So what we'll be doing is that whatever जिसका 10 एकड़ है 20 एकड़ है उसमें he will be planting trees. Eucalyptus पेड़ गाड़ देगा, बोलेगा कि भैया forest है, I am doing ecosystem services, I should be earning credit. So this is the green credit program. So earlier it was restricted to industries and companies because they were releasing carbon, but now anyone can do. Individuals can do, communities can do, states can also do. अब कहीं पे जगह ले लो, वहाँ पे पूरा जंगल या पेड़ गाड़ दो, आपको पैसा मिलता रहेगा. Now this has become a business mechanism. So this is about the green credit program. So it will let the forest departments pick degraded lands under their control for restoration. Now participants, anyone can plant trees or restore land to earn green credits. And these credits can be traded in the exchange. But you'll be having broader environmental gains over here. So what are the key steps for the credits? Identify and restore the degraded forest land. Means forest department एक land choose करेगा which has to be certified as degraded, then it will be transferred to you. So it will wait for 5 years. It will see whether you have minimum 40% canopy or not, पत्तों का cover है कि नहीं. So you can claim one green credit for one surviving tree for 5 years. So this can be also provide employment. Now what is the problem with this? It will be weakening the forest safeguards. Now what the companies can do is, earlier say some company is doing mining, अगर कहीं पे माइन कर रहा है उसका डबल द लैंड लेके वहाँ पे वो एफॉरेस्टेशन करेगा. It's called as compensatory afforestation. Now what is happening? Now I can do my mining and already somebody has bought a land and planted the trees. I can pay that person money. So मुझे एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट्स लगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. माइनिंग कंपनी को एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट्स लगा के प्लांटिंग करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. ऑलरेडी कहीं और कोई भी अगर वहाँ पे प्लांटेशन करके रखा है, मैं वो खरीद सकता हूँ, खरीद के मैं अपना माइनिंग एक्टिविटीज़ में कर सकता हूँ. सो दिस विल बी बाईपासिंग लैंड फॉर लैंड कंपनसेटरी एफॉरेस्टेशन. ओके, एंड इससे क्या होगा, द फॉरेस्ट कैन बी इजीली डाइवर्टेड, क्लेमिंग दैट कहीं पे प्लांटेशन है, सो दे कैन, द फॉरेस्ट कैन बी डिग्रेडेड वेरी इजीली. So it will be causing a lot of ecological harm. So here what happens is that You say you have scrubland, open forest, grasslands. So grasslands also have, so grasslands be, they provide their own ecosystem services. Now what if the forest department declares like a grassland है और बोलेगा कि यहाँ पे जंगल नहीं है, okay, this does not provide much ecological value. So the forest department can declare the grassland as a degraded forest, and then okay, it will be given to the project developer, okay, and the project developer will be planting the trees over there over the degraded forest. लेकिन अब भैया already okay, that is providing some ecological value, right? So इससे क्या होगा, ecological harm होगा. So the forest, scrublands, grasslands, etc., okay, they will be lost. Next, high density. So if you want, okay, see यहाँ पे एक ट्री के लिए आपको एक ग्रीन क्रेडिट मिल रहा है, राइट? सो उससे क्या होगा, irrespective of the soil condition, climate condition, you want to plant as many trees as possible. So it will not be respecting the local soil conditions, water conditions, etc. So this is the problem here. And here the methodology is also flawed. There are no clear rules for long-term survival. See, a tree, if it is surviving for 5 years, you will be taking the paisa, you will be taking a credit. What if it does not survive beyond 5 years? Again, this is a problem. So uniform criteria overlook agroclimatic variations. So India has a varied climatic conditions. So according to the climate, you will be having a certain tree density and certain tree canopy. आप राजस्थान में जाओगे, in Rajasthan also you have trees. वहाँ पे बबूल है, acacia है, okay, whose leaves are very small. In that condition, you should be having such kind of trees only. What if babul acacia will not be having much canopy cover? उनके पत्ते बहुत ही छोटे होते हैं. So आप क्या करोगे, वहाँ पे पानी डाल के, वैसे भी आपको 5 साल के लिए वहाँ पे ट्री को सर्वाइव करना है. You will be doing artificial watering by drawing the groundwater, and you will make the trees survive for just 5 years. So it will not be respecting the agroclimatic conditions. So वहाँ का climate के according आपको पेड़ होना चाहिए. आप you will be flouting all the rules and you will just go for money making. And also it will sidestep the Forest Rights Act of Gram Sabhas. Now if it is declared as a protected forest, which was the rule earlier, the tribal people would have had rights, but abhi they will be losing the rights. And other issues associated with this, there is no public consultation. Now double counting bhi hoga. You will count the carbon credits, you will also count the green credits. The small farmers will be exploited because the small farmers, okay, say कोई small farmer है, 1 hectare में उसने plantation किया, but he does not know how to avail the green credits. So the intermediates will be exploiting the small farmers. Now it conflicts with 2023 Forest Amendment by monetizing forests over protection. So these are some of the problems associated. So next one which is in the news is the geothermal energy. Now geothermal energy is the energy which is stored in the earth. Now it can be of 2 types. You can have high enthalpy, you can also have low and medium enthalpy. So high enthalpy, this means high amount of energy you get where you have volcanic hotspots. So especially along the plate boundaries where you have volcanism, active volcanism. Otherwise also you can have energy stored inside the earth. For example, in India, okay, in the Indian subcontinent, except Barren Island in Andaman Nicobar, you don't have any active volcano. Then from where the geothermal energy is coming? So it can be because of various reasons. One reason, especially if you are talking about the Himalayas, there can be abrasion between the rocks. Means rocks एक दूसरे से टकरा रहे हैं. Oh, and when the rocks are coming across each other, there can be friction generated between the rocks. So because of that also energy can be generated. You can also have hot rocks inside the earth. At some places, you can also have high amount of radioactive materials. So because of various reasons, okay, you have this energy which is stored inside the earth. Now this has to be explored because if you take the capacity potential in India, so it is around 10,000 megawatt. So it can have many key applications, and let's see some of the sites in India. So which all sites you have to remember? In Chhattisgarh, okay, you have Tatapani, Ladakh you have Puga, and here you have Cambay Graben, okay, in Gujarat, Manikaran in Himachal, Surajkund, Jharkhand, okay, and also you have Chumatang in Ladakh. So these are some of the important places. So obviously you'll be having here because it is the Eurasian and Indian plate boundary. At also some places you have these cracks and joints. So here also the geothermal energy can be generated. Now USA is the world's largest generator of the geothermal energy. So it is a renewable energy because there is immense amount of the heat which is stored inside the earth. So unlike solar and wind, because generally the renewables, they are available in a particular time. For example, sun, it comes during the day. Wind, during monsoons it is more. But when it comes to geothermal energy, it is available 24/7. So India's first ever geothermal field development project will be established in Puga village, eastern Ladakh. So remember, okay, some of the important points which have been mentioned here. Now Indonesia will be holding 40% of the world's geothermal resources because it is located along active plate boundary. Here you have Sunda Java Trench, an active subduction zone, and Indonesia also has numerous volcanoes along this Sunda Java Trench. So these are the basics of geothermal energy. Now what are the various challenges related to geothermal energy? So the upfront cost is higher. So high investment risk. So you might be doing a lot of exploration. The reservoir might not be of your capacity. So that's why investment risk is also very high. So exploration and data gaps. So limited deep drilling assessment and data with geological complexity. Next, lack of commercial projects. So it may not be commercially viable because whatever heat energy you are getting there, it should be sufficient enough to run your machines. Next, technology and skill gaps. The technology, indigenous technology is lacking and there is no enough skilled personnel in India. Environmental and social concern. Because it can also lead to a lot of land subsidence because these are located in the fault zones and plate boundaries. And when it is located in the plate boundaries, you have seismicity, means it can be prone to the earthquakes. Now, national policy on geothermal energy. Actually, this item is in the news. Since this is in the news, I have discussed everything about geothermal energy. Now, what is the vision here? Geothermal as a major renewable pillar for net zero emissions by 2070. So India is focusing on geothermal energy. So what are the goals here? Boost R&D. So if in exam they are asking, which of the following are the goals, etc., you can mark all the above because you'll be having a list, which will sound like the Gospels of Bible. Okay, so abhi अच्छे sentences होंगे, सबको mark कर देना. So global collaborations and best practices, deploy heating and cooling for the buildings, etc., build PPP ecosystem. Okay, so all this will be very good sounding statements. You can mark all the above. Now what is the scope over here? The scope is, so you have to do resource assessment here and innovative technologies like EGS, AGS, etc. And we are building a data hub also, and we are going for various models, exploiting various models, and sustainability and finance, because the finance thing is also very important because it is very risky. So we are going with various types of incentives are being given to the companies over here, and the state's role. So 3 to 5 year exploration leases will be given or 30-year development leases. So all these things will not be asked in examination. From the mains perspective, if at all this policy will be asked in examination, you can go through this because anyways you can't remember all these things, and in pre also they won't be asking these kind of nitty-gritties. Next, National Biofoundry Network and Bio E3 policy. So this is a new policy which has come. So it supports Bio E3 policy by scaling lab ideas into real biotech products. So Bio E3 is India's first biotech policy under DBT, Department of Biotechnology, to grow bioeconomy of 300 billion by 2030. So what is the biofoundry basics? So automated labs for fast DNA design and gene editing and manufacturing. So what are the objectives here? So turn proof of the concept into viable technology, and it will be shared with startups, SMEs and academia. So here basically you are using the DNA, genetic engineering technology, into something which is viable. Now what is the aim here? So revolutionize biomanufacturing means the genetic engineering, this technology will be used for therapeutics, means medicines, foods, carbon capture, for economy, environment and jobs. So what are the features here? So R&D startup support will be there, bio AI hubs, okay, green circular models, PPP models, etc. And what are the achievements? You can go through the achievements here. Some of the achievements have been given. Then what are the challenges? So there are no clear milestones here. Skill shortage is also there. So value of death, funding gap, because this might not be actualized. So high GMP cost and import reliance is also very high here. Biosafety and public trust issues. Next is river pollution in India. So Central Pollution Control Board has released assessment report on the polluted river stretches for restoration of water quality. Now CPCB executes National Water Quality Monitoring Program, okay, in association with State Pollution Control Boards for assessing the water quality. So it identifies the PRS, that is polluted river stretches. Now what all things you have to remember with respect to pre? So especially with respect to prelims, you have to remember BOD. See, pollution can be checked at various levels, but here the criteria which we'll be taking is BOD, that is biological oxygen demand. Means if there is organic matter in the river, this organic matter will be consumed by the bacteria. So river में बहुत सारा dirt है, dead plants है, मरे हुए animals है. So all these things will be polluting the river. आपका fecal matter भी रहता है. So all these things will be consumed by the bacteria. Now when the bacteria consumes, okay, this organic matter, when the bacteria will be decaying this organic matter, it will be consuming a certain amount of oxygen, and this is called as the biological oxygen demand. So not only bacteria but also the fishes and other aquatic animals will also consume the bacteria. So this is called as BOD. BOD अगर बहुत ही ज़्यादा है, that means वहाँ पे decay ज़्यादा हो रहा है, dirt ज़्यादा है, dead animals ज़्यादा है, dead plants ज़्यादा है. So that will be indicating. This acts as one of the indicators of pollution in the rivers. Now this is categorized into 1 to 5. Now they have categorized, so they have 296 river stretches were polluted, okay, on 271 rivers, okay, out of 645 rivers assessed. So total number of PRS has decreased from 351 in 2018 to 296. थोड़ा बहुत reduction हुआ है. So this kind of data can be asked in the examination. Now the state wise also they can ask. So Maharashtra, it has highest number of PRS. And what are the notable PRS? So Yamuna, okay, Sabarmati, Chambal, Tungabhadra and Sarabanga in Tamil Nadu. Remember these 3-4 names. Now what is the source of the pollution? The first one is untreated sewage. So जितना भी आपका सिटी का अर्बन एरियाज का सीवेज है वो कहाँ जाता है? वो सीधा रिवर में मिला जाता है. In fact, more than 80% of the pollution in river Ganga is due to this sewage. आपके बड़े बड़े शहर जो है, आपकी आगरा है, ओके, आपका मथुरा है, आपका दिल्ली है, उनका पूरा सीवेज जाके रिवर्स में जाके मिलता है. So this untreated sewage is the largest source of pollution. Then untreated industrial effluents. So industries, when they are releasing the effluents, they're supposed to clean those effluents and then they're supposed to release in the river, because they cannot consume all the water. Okay, पानी को कहीं नहीं फेंक सकते, फाइनली पानी को रिवर में ही जाना पड़ता है, लेकिन रिवर में जाने से पहले इट हैज़ टू बी क्लीन. So what are the major pollutants industries? Chemical industries, of course, sugar, paper, tanneries, okay, especially in Kanpur, आपके जितने भी tanneries है, they pollute the Ganga a lot. Now, what can be done here? Source control has to be done. So जितने भी आपके sewage treatment plants है, they should be running, okay, the up to the maximum capacity. Also, okay, this effluent treatment plants, they should also be run. So solid waste management होना चाहिए. आपके cities से, urban area से जितना भी solid waste निकलता है, that should not be directly thrown in the river. And some amount of e-flow also has to be maintained. That is ecological flow. See, water is not just meant for the human use. Water also should be there for the aquatic life, and also it should be there for the deltaic, means lower riparian parts mein you should be having certain amount of water. See, for example, so India gets a total rainfall of around 4000 BCM. So out of this 4000 BCM, we are using only 1000 BCM. इतना आपका storage capacity, okay, usable capacity है. So ये मत सोचना कि why we are not using this rest of the 3000 BCM. सारा ही पानी ह्यूमन के लिए अगर यूज़ कर लेंगे तो रिवर्स सारे सूखे पड़ जाएंगे. Will not be having deltaic ecosystem. The salinity near the coast will increase and aquatic life will be dead. So you have to maintain certain flow. This will also help in removing the pollutants. आपका कचरा जो भी है निकल जाएगा, silt निकलता है. Okay, so it has got certain ecological service, certain ecological ecosystem services the river also provides. For that, water has to be there. Now basin management also has to be done. Okay, for example, okay, this is the river Ganga. So river Ganga is collecting water from here, here and here. So this is the basin. So आपकी पूरा basin अगर clean रहेगा, then obviously river भी clean रहेगा, because ultimately this river will be acting as a watershed. So whatever pollutants are there in the basin, ultimately they will reach the river. So you should not just clean the river, but you should clean the entire basin. So basin level management, this catchment level management has to be done. Next, remove encroachment. See, if you have a river, then say 1 kilometer on the both sides of the river, so this can be declared as a biodiversity park, or it should be meant for nature purposes. So that here encroachment should not be allowed, factories should not be allowed here, because they will be polluting. And here the biodiversity parks should be linked with the livelihood of the people, so they themselves will be protecting the river. And in case there is a flood in the river, this will also act as a buffer zone. And you can also use the technology. आजकल बहुत सारे advanced technologies है, आपका AI वगैरह और IoT, Internet of Things, etc. can be used, okay, to save the rivers. Next is Great Nicobar Island project. Now why it is in the news? Because there is a conflict between the PAT and Forest Rights Act. So there is a conflict between these two. So FRA, Forest Rights Act, is bottom up. So here the Gram Sabhas will be deciding, the tribals will be deciding what they should be doing with the forest, how the forest should be used, okay, what kind of activities, commercial activities should be allowed in the forest. If something, the forests are diverted for non-forest purposes, then the permission of the Gram Sabha should be taken. So this is bottom-up approach. It is democratic. It is decentralized. Whereas PAT, that is Protection of Aborigine Tribes Act 1956, it is a top-down. So PAT mein you have given permission, means a lot of discretion is with the Babus, means bureaucracy has a lot of discretion over here. So it is a टॉप डाउन अप्रोच, ऊपर से लोग डिसाइड करेंगे भैया कि ट्राइबल्स को क्या चाहिए. So there's a conflict between these two. Now the issue is going on because you have this Great Nicobar Island Development Project, okay, and this a lot of forest is being diverted for non-forestry purposes, because in this project a lot of things are coming up. So the issue is that forest land on Great Nicobar is being diverted for big projects, even though individual and community forest rights of the tribals may not have been recognized. So लोगों का यहाँ पे what permission is not being taken. So FRA 2000 के अंदर जो भी आपको और उनको राइट्स मिलते हैं, they are not being taken because यहाँ के बाबू लोग बोल रहे हैं कि हम पैट फॉलो कर रहे हैं, FRA फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं. So tribal ministry, okay, has asked the Andaman Nicobar administration to explain why FRA were not selected before clearing the forest, right? So tribal councils in Andaman Nicobar are set up under 2009 regulation, mainly have advisory and executive functions, not law making powers. So the administration claims FRA need not apply because the tribal rights are already protected by the PAT. सी बाबू लोग बोल रहे हैं कि हम लोग ट्राइबल्स को अगर प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं तो FRA की क्या जरूरत है, दो लॉ की क्या जरूरत है, हम है ना प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, कि बाबू लोग बोल रहे हैं. नाउ व्हाट इज पैट? पैट इज टॉप डाउन अप्रोच, FRA इज bottom up approach. So I've explained all the things here. I can go through this slide. Now, so under FRA, so the Gram Sabhas will be acting as primary authority. So you also have individual forest rights here, means up to 4 hectares. If a tribal or a forest dweller is cultivating land, they can own the land again under FRA 2006. They also have community forest rights, that is rights of the Gram Sabha to protect, regenerate, manage and use the customary forest. Means food, okay, fuel wood कैसे use करना है, minor forest wood कैसे use करना है, like honey, bamboo, herbs, etc. So it is completely with the Gram Sabha. And also they have habitation and cultural rights, like they have the rights over the sacred groves, okay, burial grounds, traditional seasonal use areas. And decision making, okay, is entirely with the Gram Sabhas. If the forest has to be diverted for various projects, or कोई mining वाला आ रहा है, आके rights मांग रहा है, means उनको land चाहिए, then permission has to be taken from Gram Sabhas. And in case of resettlement and relocation, अगर इन आदिवासी को जंगल से निकाल के कहीं बाहर फेंक रहे, then उनके पास बहुत से रहेगा. Means until and unless complete resettlement is happening, they won't be allowing. So they hold a lot of rights under FRA 2006, but under PAT nothing as such is there, because Babu log will decide. Now why these matter? Especially, okay, in the Nicobar group of islands you have 2 aborigine tribes. Okay, these are PGVTs, means vulnerable, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They still have primitive lifestyle. They're still into hunting and gathering. So 2 tribes names you remember. One is the Nicobaris tribe. So Nicobaris tribe are good in number, around 30,000 इनका number है. So they are usually the pig herders. And one more tribe, okay, who are in double digits. These are the Shompen tribe. The Shompen tribe, okay, they are in 2 digits, they're still into hunting and gathering, and both of these 2 tribes, they have Mongoloid features. Means ये थोड़ा Indonesian, okay, Myanmar वैसे लोग दिखते हैं. Whereas if you go to Andaman group of islands, in Andaman group of islands you have tribes who have Negrito features. Means completely African जैसे लोग दिखते हैं. Because of the various invasions in India around 30,000, okay, 20,000 years ago. So the Negrito group which was there in India, okay, they had fled Indian mainland and they have come to these islands. So that's why in Andaman group, okay, you'll be finding Negrito. So यहाँ पे कुछ tribes हैं, नाम याद रखना. You have, okay, Jarawa tribe, Onge tribe, Andamanese tribe and Sentinelese tribe, okay. 3-4 names you remember. And all these are particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So these 2 tribe names you remember in Great Nicobar. So if FRA is not implemented, so the legal ownership and management, okay, over the community rights are never recorded. The projects can go ahead with only administrative decisions under PAT. This contradicts the constitutional duty to protect the tribal interests and Supreme Court jurisprudence that FRA is a rights recognizing, not a charity law. Next, what are the tribal concerns? So a lot of displacement is taking place because of various projects here. Obviously, there is a lot of ecological harm over here because the Great Nicobar, so this island which is there, so here you are building your international airport hai, ek transshipment terminal aa raha hai, okay, you have and you have Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve here. And this Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve has two national parks, remember these names, Campbell Bay National Park and Galatea National Park. Two national parks are there. And this Great Nicobar Island, it is the southernmost island of India, and it also has a lot of thick forests because it is near to the equator. The biodiversity is very high. It has equatorial evergreen forests and also some deciduous forests. So that's why this island is very important. And the nodal agency for the development of this project is Andaman and Nicobar Islands Integrated Development Corporation. Okay, this has been established under Companies Act. And why the government of India is building all this? Because this is located along Strait of Malacca. So वहाँ पे एक choke point है. आजकल हॉर्मुज सुन रहे हो, Strait of Hormuz. So यहाँ पे एक choke point है. So वहाँ के army की presence बहुत important है. And you also need international airport here because वहाँ पे एक बड़ा port आएगा तो airport भी चाहिए होगा. It can become a trade hub also. And since Andaman Nicobar, okay, has pristine natural beauty, so you can also, okay, increase a lot of tourism over here. And anyways, if you're building all this, okay, some amount of destruction will also take place. So that's why remember, okay, 2-3 okay rivers over here, because eventually this will be polluted. For example, okay, remember this Galatea River, Alexandria River, Amrut Kaur River, and the highest peak of the Great Nicobar is Mount Thulier. So remember these 3-4, and of course the Galatea Bay, okay, and Campbell Bay. And Indira Point is the southernmost point of India. And during 2004 tsunami, okay, this has gone 4 meters below the sea. So because it has been destroyed because of the tsunami. Next, dam safety in India. Okay, ISER Bhopal has come up with the report. So the major concern of ISER Bhopal is the dams are losing the capacity because dams में sediments भर रहा है. So the river will be bringing the sediments, but because of the dam, जितना भी sediments लेके आ रहा है, वो dams में ही जमा रह रहा है. Because of this, there are a lot of problems. Firstly, the water carrying capacity of the dam is reduced, and monsoons में, okay, you will be storing the water. So monsoons में you won't be able to store more water because the capacity has been reduced. When the capacity is low, okay, you haven't stored enough water. So during lean season, okay, जब winter season में जब आपको पानी चाहिए होता है, तब आपको पानी नहीं मिलेगा because already आपने कम पानी स्टोर करके रखा है. Next, जब आप ज़्यादा पानी स्टोर करके नहीं रहते हैं, then you won't be able to produce much of hydroelectric power. So these are all the various issues associated with this. So if you are not storing enough water for irrigation purposes, you'll also have food security problem. This ISER Bhopal, it has analyzed 300 plus large reservoirs using Central Water Commission data. Now what are the various causes of this? Deforestation. अगर आप river के basin में, so river के basin में deforestation कर रहे हो, यहाँ पे आपका dam है, so जितना भी मिट्टी है वो पूरा डैम में आके फंस जाएगा. Next, farm runoff. When you are doing agriculture, lot of soil erosion also happen because if there was no farm, there could have been tree over there. So trees क्या करते हैं? The roots of the trees will be catching, okay, they will be holding the soil together. And during the monsoon, there will be heavy erosion because of runoff. runoff is very high at the monsoon time, especially without deforestation and unplanned land use. You can, okay, now just now we have seen you can divert the forest land for any purpose. Lot of regulations have been reduced. Okay, what are the impacts here? Impacts will be कम पानी होगा, कम बिजली प्रोड्यूस करोगे, and farm losses. We won't be having much water, therefore agriculture capacity will reduce. It will also lead to water conflicts in the future. So east flowing rivers are critical for South India's needs. So here much of the problem has come. Now what are the key findings here? Many reservoirs already lost 50% of the designed capacity. So which rivers have been affected? Very important. East flowing rivers beyond Godavari and west flowing rivers beyond Tapi will exceed 50% loss. Okay, so these things you remember. So worst hit is the Himalayan region. The highest annual loss is happening in Himalayan region. And also most of the dams, okay, in India are undergoing aging. More than 1,000 dams are 50 to 100 years old and 224 dams are more than 100 years old. And there are also a lot of structural failures because of which seepage is happening, the pipes are getting corroded, and also you have weak foundations. And seismic risk is also increasing because you can also have liquefaction. For example, you have built a dam anywhere. So when you have built a dam, a large amount of water is stored. So when water is stored, this water will be entering into the sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks में बहुत सारे pores होते हैं. So when the water will enter into sedimentary rocks, so pores के बीच में पानी चला जाएगा. So वहाँ का जब मिट्टी वो है नरम हो जाता है. जब मिट्टी नरम होता है ना, ऊपर का जो foundation है that become destabilized. So the rock which is supposed to act like a solid, because of the water seepage, वो पत्थर नरम होने से आपका stability बिगड़ जाता है and the buildings can collapse, the dams can also collapse. And this is very much true in the Himalayan region. And this concept is called as liquefaction. Next, GLOF can also happen. So examples are also here given here. So Changtang Dam in Sikkim destroyed because of GLOF. See, because of the climate change, the glacial calving will be happening. Okay, these terms can be asked in the examination. What is GLOF? Because of this, what can happen? How it can happen? Can be asked in the examination. So that's why I'm beating around the bush, not just the report. Around the report, what all things can be asked? Okay, I'm putting down here. So whenever glacial calving happens, when more and more ice will be going into the dam, and this dam has been made because of the moraine. Moraine means a glacial deposit होता है. So glacial deposit जो है यहाँ पे एक डैम जैसा कुछ बनाता है. लेकिन अगर ये बड़ा सा आइस टूट के इसके अंदर गिरेगा, the water overspill हो जाएगा. This is also called as overtopping. And after some time, because of this overtopping, this moraine dam, moraine की वजह से जो डैम जैसा कुछ बना हुआ है, वो भी टूट सकता है. अगर ये टूट गया, जितना भी पानी वहाँ पे सर्क्यू लेक में डिपॉजिट हो गया है, so that can all go at once. It can flood the entire downstream area. So overtopping is डैम के ऊपर से पानी जाना. जब डैम के ऊपर से पानी जाता है, so gradually डैम का भी erosion हो जाता है. And एक छोटा सा जो path है, okay, छोटा सा जो रिल या गली है, that will become very big. And ultimately जो भी आपकी बांध है पूरा ही टूट जाएगा. And there are also management gaps. So CAG has found that Gandhi Sagar ignored CWC safety fixes. Result क्या है? Higher risk of catastrophic failures affecting millions downstreams. And what are the various solutions for the sediments? So sediments, आपको पता है कि sedimentation होने वाला है. So what we can do? You can make the dam deeper and deeper. तो जितना deep बनाओगे ना, so उतना ही सेडिमेंट्स जो है नीचे जाएंगे. आपकी डैम अगर शैलो है, सेडिमेंट्स तो ऊपर की तरफ रहेंगे, तो डैम कैपेसिटी कम होगा. एंड जब भी आपका ड्राई सीजन होता है, लीन सीजन होता है, जब डैम में पानी बिल्कुल नहीं रहता है, सो उस टाइम आप इस सेडिमेंट्स को पूरा निकाल देना चाहिए, लेकिन उसके लिए खर्चा भी ज़्यादा होगा. तो जैपनीज मेथड भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ओके, वेयर सेडिमेंट बाईपास. So this is the dam, okay, and then you can have a side channel, bypass channel. So bypass channel से पानी पूरा निकाल के जितना भी डैम में सेडिमेंट्स है, सेडिमेंट को आप निकाल सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट, स्विट्जरलैंड कंट्रोल्ड फ्लशिंग. So dam के bottom में you can have an outlet. So from there all the sediments can be reduced. But again this is very risky. You need a lot of technology for this. So dam का जो bottom है, so that is where most of the weight, load will be there. वो वाला पार्ट को आप अगर निकाल रहे हो, वहाँ पे अगर छेद बना रहे हो बॉटम में जहाँ पे लोड बेरिंग कैपेसिटी ज़्यादा है, then it might lead to the instability of the dam. So we need to be very careful. We can also have subsurface dams. जैसे कुएं में पानी भर के रखते हो, you can have a very large area, okay, in which the water can be filled. Now what are the various solutions? Again, afforestation कर सकते हो, watershed management कर सकते हो, check dams. Instead of going for a large dam, we can have small check dams. So regular desilting can be done, etc. Next, technology alternatives, modern day monitoring by using the satellites, Internet of Things. So we can bring management reforms, that is mandatory inspections, okay, risk prioritization. अगर कोई बोल रहा है कि यहाँ पे risk है, then it should be taken with caution, and National Dam Safety Authority. So it has to be coordinated with CWC, etc. So anyways, in pre they will not be asking you all these things, but the concepts which I have explained just now can be asked in the examination. So next one, the next item which is in the news is the Himachal Pradesh CM has urged 16th Finance Commission to revise disaster risk index as it underestimates hill states' vulnerability in the Himalayas. See here, the Finance Commission will be giving funds to the states, and this formula is based on this. So 70% is given on the basis of hazard probability, where okay the landslides, floods, earthquakes, etc. And 30% is based on vulnerability. Of course, the vulnerability will be playing an important role. So if you are more vulnerable, then you will be more prone to the disaster. For example, आप pre fail हो गए, then so you should be taking it as an inspiration, and आप okay जून में रिजल्ट आ जाएगा, so जून से लेके नेक्स्ट मई तक you can study the entire year. So if you become vulnerable, you'll be disappointed and you'll be undergoing emotional stress, and आप सोचोगे कि मेरे से कुछ नहीं होगा, then कुछ नहीं होगा. So your vulnerability okay can make you or it can break you. But here in case of the vulnerability, the Finance Commission has taken the BPL population, below poverty line population, as a criteria. Now the Himalayan states okay will not be having much of BPL population. इनकी vulnerability will be dependent upon various other things. So that's why the Himachal Pradesh CM has urged to change the formula. Now what all kind of vulnerabilities the Himalayan states are prone to? So glacier retreat is happening. So these regions will be receiving extreme rains. Extreme rains because you have the Himalayas, and all of a sudden when the monsoon bearing winds, when they will be climbing the hills, they will cool down. All of a sudden condensation will be happening, you will be having heavy rains, and cloud burst will also happen. If the moisture bearing winds, when they hit the Himalayas and they climb up suddenly, if it is having very high amount of moisture, if it is cooled suddenly, then the cloud will not be having a capacity, and a very large amount of rainfall will be concentrated over a small area, and this becomes cloud burst. Avalanche can also happen, and socio-economic risks. So deforestation is happening, grazing okay, and buildings. So this will lead to landslides and avalanches. And also you have mega hydropower projects which block the natural flow of the water. And also you have human made risks over here. Nowadays we are building a lot of infrastructure in these areas. You are building a lot of tunnels. You also have a lot of hydropower. the river bank encroachment is happening because of the tourism and also because of increasing population and tourism boom. A lot of people, okay, hills calling बोल के चले जाते हैं, so without caring about. And next, and also you have a lot of geophysical risks because these are tectonically active. Even now the Himalayas are moving at the rate of 5 centimeter per year. So the Himalayas are made up of the sedimentary rocks of marine origin. So the soil is comparatively loose because these are sediments. And also you have undercutting. So rivers जो भी है यहाँ पे पहाड़ के नीचे से काट के जाता है. So पहाड़ के नीचे से जब काट के जाएगा पहाड़ will become unstable and cloud burst, snow melt, etc. So they are prone to a lot of vulnerabilities. For example, Joshimath landslide as subsidence has happened. So see, Himalayas are made up of a lot of porous rocks, sedimentary rocks है, बीच में बहुत सारे pores है. Means वहाँ पे बहुत सारा नीचे हवा है. So the rocks haven't really settled down, and the water infiltration is also taking place. And इसके ऊपर आप बहुत सारा heavy construction करते हो, and जब इसके अंदर पानी घुस जाएगा, then all the pores will be filled, and then मिट्टी जो है unstable हो जाता है and it will lead to subsidence, and this is what happened in Joshimath. You see the cloud burst will happen. So all of a sudden, okay, से एक funnel जैसा यहाँ पे valley है. So moisture laden winds, okay, अंदर घुस गए, घुसने के बाद बाहर का ही भागने का chance नहीं है. All of a sudden ये हवा पूरा ऊपर उठता है, condensation होगा, cloud formation होगा, and suddenly एक cloud फट जाएगा. That is cloud burst. So the DRI, Disaster Risk Index. So this is based on this formula. So the Finance Commission will be giving the funds. It will be dispersing the funds to the states based on this formula, and this formula is not agreed, okay, by the hill states because the vulnerability should not be just based on BPL population. There are other risks as well which you have seen now. Now they are saying that the BPL plus standard hazards underestimate the unique Himalayan risks, tectonic activity, cloud bursts, fragile slopes, etc. Rather, these things should be taken into account. But again, how you will quantify this? That's a problem. So next is disaster risk financing. 15th Finance Commission has shifted from expenditure based to the risk based. So new allocation formula combines three factors. One is the capacity, whether the states are able to spend that much or not. Next is how much risk exposure, it is based on the area and population at risk. Next, third one is hazard proneness, so in which the disaster risk index score is taken into account. So you also have disaster mitigation funds over here. So NDMF, National Disaster Mitigation Fund, created by the center. Similarly at the state level also you have this. So funding is split between the center. Center will be giving 75% to the normal states and 90% to the northeast and the hill states. Now DRF has flaws that hurt the vulnerable states like Himachal. So you cannot have one size fits all approach. So हर एक state के लिए अलग अलग vulnerability होती है, that has to be taken into account. And low funding for the high risk states. So Himalayas gets less despite frequent disasters, and size beats the risk. So bigger states get more funds even if they are less vulnerable, because you see here in the formula risk exposure is decided on area plus population. उत्तर प्रदेश जैसे स्टेट है लार्ज एरिया है, राजस्थान जैसे स्टेट है बहुत बड़ा एरिया है, तो यूपी में तो पॉपुलेशन भी ज़्यादा है, एरिया भी ज़्यादा है. So this cannot be the criteria. And past spending bias. So if you have spent the funds previously in the previous years, then you will be favored, or else you will not be favored. अगर कोई स्टेट अच्छी तरह मैनेज कर रहा है डिजास्टर को, सो फंड्स को ज़्यादा स्पेंड नहीं किया, देन दे विल बी एट रिस्क. रिजल्ट क्या है? हिल स्टेट्स कोस्टल स्टेट्स chronically underfunded despite higher disaster exposure. So what can be the key solutions? You should be having smarter DRI formula. So region specific risk should be analyzed. Then there will be better vulnerability measure, and data and technology upgrades also should be taking place. So these things, this PDF I will be anyways uploading Okay, I'll upload, okay, in the comment section, sorry, in the description below, you can download this. Next is State Energy Efficiency Index. So Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Tripura lead their groups in State Energy Efficiency Index. So it is developed by BEE in alliance with Energy Efficiency, Energy Efficient Economy. Next purpose, it will be ranking 36 states and UTs on energy efficiency to track progress, etc. Please look into this. So next is monsoon related extreme weather events. So extreme floods and landslides in Punjab, UK, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and J&K show monsoon disasters are worsening. So what is happening here? Erratic rainfall is happening. Erratic rainfall means बारिश कभी भी होता है एंड कभी कभी बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश होता है, कभी कभी बहुत ही कम बारिश होता है. So sometimes what is happening is that it is also associated with weaker monsoonal winds, hotter air, intense rain burst and long dry spells. So जब भी weaker monsoonal winds होता है, so say area, okay, say land is very hot. So because of the hot land, lot of convection can also take place, and because of that convectional rainfall can also happen. And after that you will be having long dry spell, वहाँ पे बारिश नहीं होता उसके बाद. Then El Nino link is weakening. So there is a certain frequency by which you will have El Nino, La Nina, El Nino, La Nina. Generally 2, 3, 5, 7 years का frequency होता है. This frequency is being disturbed because of climate change. Next, shifting rain zones. गुजरात एंड राजस्थान जो ड्राई होना चाहिए वहाँ पे ज़्यादा बारिश हो रहा है, एंड गंगा बेसिन जो है वहाँ पे कम बारिश हो रहा है. नेक्स्ट, क्लाइमेट चेंज. ऑफ कोर्स द सीस आर बिकमिंग वार्मर बिकॉज ऑफ इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर, and when the temperature is increased, the air will hold more moisture, and sometimes because of that you'll be having more rainfall because the moisture laden winds which are traveling towards you, they'll carry more moisture, hence they'll be having more rainfall. Next, State of Global Water Resources 2024. This report is given by WMO, World Meteorological Organization. So water cycle has become increasingly erratic and extreme, swinging between deluge and drought. So according to this report, so usually in the exam they'll be asking who has given this report. Now glacial crisis is happening. So all regions are losing ice, small glaciers hitting peak water point and less runoff ahead. So glaciers छोटे होते जा रहे हैं, retreat हो रहा है glaciers का. Water imbalance. 2/3 of the world's river basins, they become too wet or they become too dry. Example, अफ्रीका में heavy rain हो रहा है, यूरोप और एशिया में floods आ रहा है, अमेज़न में drought आ रहा है. Now water cycle basics, okay. So the pools and fluxes. Pools are the places where water is stored and fluxes where water movement is happening. This climate change impact is also happening. So they won't be asking this much of details over here, all these things. So basically they can ask you who has given this report. Next report, Production Gap Report 2025. The Stockholm Environment Institute, who has given this, UPSC will be asking such kind of question. Climate Analytics and International Institute for Sustainable Development. So it planned fossil fuel production in 2030 will exceed levels consistent with limiting warnings. See, according to the Paris Climate Deal, we have limited by 2100, we have limited that the temperature should not be increasing by 1.5 degrees centigrade, at max 2 degrees centigrade. So obviously, okay, IPCC also has given its report, but again, this report also you keep in mind. So it is saying that it is highly unlikely. Next, it is blaming coal because many countries are planning to reduce the coal, because coal से क्या है, CO2 produce होता है. So coal, okay, remains the major culprit over here with projected 2030 global output 500% higher than 1.5 pathway. Means 1.5 डिग्री तक टेम्परेचर कम ओके रखने के लिए, अपर कैप रखने के लिए जितना कोल आपको बर्न करना चाहिए उससे 500% more you are producing. This fossil fuel subsidies given by the government, okay, remain near record high despite pledges to cut them. So Paris में सब ने जाके pledge किया था कि हम coal cut करेंगे, CO2 cut करेंगे, etc. So remember this is important because the India is one of the main contender. Recently when India went to the climate summits, is saying that okay, we are poor people, okay, we can't afford to have many technologies, that's why coal is inevitable to us, हमको coal तो burn करना ही पड़ेगा, हमारी base load कहाँ से निकालेंगे. So India बहुत okay यहाँ पे pressurize किया था बाकी countries को. Next one which is in the news is grey rhino event. Now you have various types of events here, so such kind of things can be asked in the examination. Black swan event, matlab this is rare, unpredictable, such as COVID-19. Grey rhino means a probable hai. So obvious risk, okay, ignored. Despite giving so many warnings, the risk has been ignored, such as Wayanad landslides जो है. So बहुत सारे committees ने, बहुत सारे लोगों ने okay बोला है कि भैया it is very dangerous, okay, landslides can happen. So despite giving so many warnings, they have been ignored, and such kind of events are called as grey rhino events. White rhino matlab kya hai? Predictable, low impact. Now why Wayanad has been declared as a grey rhino event? Because it is known that okay, it's a dangerous zone. Despite that, you've gone for the tea plantation over there, deforestation has taken place, so many resorts have been built, lot of tourism, excessive tourism has been taking place. So that's why. So despite clear warnings, okay, so people have ignored them, and it has led to a lot of landslides. And I hope I am able to cover the current affairs in a very comprehensive way. So I'm basically covering environment, science and technology and geography since from the month of September. क्योंकि ओके सितंबर में आपका मेंस हुआ है, एंड सितंबर से लेके अप्रैल तक मैं सारे ही करंट अफेयर्स कवर करूँगा जो भी आपको प्री के लिए आएगा. एंड फ्रॉम द नेक्स्ट मंथ ओके आई हैव डन द अक्टूबर ऑल्सो, बट फ्रॉम नवंबर आई विल नॉट बी डूइंग एनवायरमेंट बिकॉज एनवायरमेंट हैज़ बिकम क्वाइट फैक्चुअल, and I will be majorly covering okay your science and technology, that is where okay insights given in your current affair booklets are very less, and geography also I will be covering excessively. And finally in the month of April, just okay in the end of April, before you guys go to the prelims, I'll be covering the mapping very exhaustively. Means सारे continents cover करूँगा okay, and then which are the important locations and also the static part. So I'll be releasing the video, I'll be covering all the continents. Okay, keep watch and please subscribe okay the channel, and please spread. If you like my videos, like karo, comment karo, and please okay spread it to your friends. Okay, if you get viewership then मुझे encouragement मिलेगा. Thank you.